my initial reaction to how do you evaluate your own teaching was, well, based on teaching evals, what do students like, what do they not like? But I think there's other things, and there's things that we should not do too. I mean, early on, I used to look at nonverbals, and that would be a good indicator of how well I was doing as a teacher. So I would really, just like I like to study people, even as I talk, and see kind of like, I wonder what they're thinking. How'd that go over? Is that working? Is this resonating? And what I've learned is a lot of times students will kind of give you the look like, stop talking. And you think, man, these students hate me. They hate this class. They're so bored. Then evals come and they love the class. So I guess to new teachers, and I think even for those of us who've been doing this for 10, 15 years, you can't put too much stock into the nonverbal expressions you get from your students. I think the reality is students have lots of things on their minds other than just your class, and the nonverbals you could be getting have nothing to do with the job you're doing. So I would not use nonverbals, but I would use student scores on exams. I think that's a very good indicator of how well you teach. It's a good indicator of how well students are reading outside of class. It's a good indicator of what they're reading and what they're not reading. I mean, if you find that your students are missing a lot of your material that you talk about in class, then either one, they don't come to class, which you can determine that or not, or two, you can look and see are they taking notes, or three, maybe you're just not presenting the material very well. I think all of these are eye-openers. And I would also then say just your own feelings about class. You know, there are some classes that I leave and I think, gosh, I just did not do as well as I wanted to. I didn't enjoy this material today. And if I didn't enjoy it, I think there's a pretty good chance that my students didn't enjoy it.
So something I started doing several years ago was an informal, of my own devising, but a midterm evaluation that I give to the students. Right? Because it's one thing, you know, I always leave comments that they would make on ISIS forms at the end of the semester, but of course that's, you know, that's only a benefit to the students who take the course the next time around. So if you do it midway through, lots of times you'll get, you know, very good feedback about what the students are finding best about the course now, right, and what they would like you to do differently that would help them in that way. So that's been extremely useful for me, you know, the last several years that I've done that. Giving out these midterm evaluations, reading through them, taking them seriously, and, you know, and even better, I don't include the sort of, you know, give me a 1 through 5 on these things, right? I ask them questions and I ask them to give short written responses about things, which are the most valuable part of the ISIS forms for me anyway. So yeah, I've been able to make adjustments in the second half of the courses, right, in accordance with what the students' desires are, what, you know, the material that they liked the most, what they thought has worked best, what they found most confusing and frustrating in that way.
Reflective teacher journaling, really, really valuable. If you have the time, you can get the discipline to actually sit down after you teach a class and actually write down what went well, what didn't, what you saw, what you wish you had seen, and start thinking about like these types of like that critical evaluation. I actually do this as part of my research where I've had TAs, I force them to do reflective journaling, and it's fun to actually see them progress. And you get building the feedback. Getting classroom ops, someone come in and watch your teaching for you, because there's almost always something that you're missing. You need an extra pair of eyes. There's just so much going on in the classroom that if you don't have someone who's watching you teach, that you need that. I mean, the best team, yeah. That's very valuable, very useful. Early informal feedback absolutely is very important.
I agree with everything. I will reiterate exactly what he said happened. When I was first starting teaching, I had Chris Mitgoski came and watched the class and told me a few things, and then I had someone videotape an entire lecture. If you ever want to know how good you are, watch yourself. Like, I had this problem of pacing, and I looked at the ground the whole time. And I'm like, why in the world do I keep doing this? Who am I talking to down there? And I sometimes still do. I'm looking at the ground right now while I'm talking to you. And so if you start seeing these things, oh, it's telling. So definitely have somebody come in and watch you teach, and then have them videotape you and watch it again.